All right, there is a ton going on today. We're at Edgewood Country Club, which is a fantastic place. The results are coming in, which means when you have events like this in all country clubs, 60 to 70% of people fudge their score. But it is what it is. You just have to know that going in. Myron Cope-Foge Fazio Memorial Golf Tournament. Dennis, say your last name again. I pronounce it 5 different ways, Dennis.
Everybody, Colin, I forgive you. Everybody pronounces it 5 different ways.
I know.
It's Atiyeh.
Atiyeh, I know. Yeah. So you have been involved in this. Both Myron Cope, especially Foge Fazio, meant a lot to you. Tell me why it's so important to be out here every year.
Well, the beauty of Foge Fazio, the University of Pittsburgh at the time was an awesome melting pot, Colin.
Uh-huh.
We had Irish guys. We had Italian guys. Marino, wow, what an awesome cat, Jimmy Sweeney, Terry Quarren. How Irish is that? You know what I'm saying to you? And we had guys that were Hispanic, we had African guys, we had Polish guys, we had Slovak guys, we had Syrian guys, Lebanese guys, just every ethnic mix you could possibly have. And the beauty of it, Colin, we also had Catholics and Protestants, and Orthodox Christians. And then we had a Jewish administrator by the name of Kramer and Myron Cope covering us. You know what I'm saying to you? And, of course, the awesome Bill Hillgrove. And he's in my prayers. I know he's struggling a little bit. I love you, Bill, and you're in my prayers, buddy. But what I would tell you is that was the awesome thing about the University of Pittsburgh, Colin. This big melting pot of all these ethnic groups and all these religious cats. And I would tell you, Foge Fazio was a man's man. One of the men that was golfing today, he started talking about how Foge Fazio was the salt of the earth, Colin, And I said, boy, was he, man. He really went out for his people. Myron, man, he gave it his all. And I had the pleasure of being on his show twice back in the day. And he's just man, what a bunch of characters.
And there were, but in the era that all these guys played, everybody played, and you played, and I think football is still this to some degree, although it's gotten away from it. And you guys were better than most. You just had to be meaner, nastier, and had a want to get lower and dirtier than other people. And Pitt did that. And I think when you guys all get together, you still take pride in that. Is that true?
I would tell you it's absolutely true. And there's things I can't talk about on the radio because Mark Berger said, Dennis, don't talk about that. You know what I'm saying? He was like, you don't want to talk about that on the radio. And Tank's like,
but that doesn't appetize everyone. It makes you guys happy to be those people.
Well, listen, here's what I would tell you. There was a brotherhood, man. And, Foge Fazio, he threw gasoline on it. He put himself on top, and listen, I see you talking about prayer with this two high school teams,
yeah.
which is great, man. There wasn't one game that we won, and trust me, we won some big games. We won some big games in that era. I mean, we beat Georgia. Georgia's like the top team, year in and year out. We beat Georgia during that era. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. We beat Penn State. We beat them two times out of that era that I played in. You understand? And BYU with Steve Young, was the quarterback, and we beat Purdue with Everett as a quarterback. And I mean, we played against George Rogers at South Carolina. I mean, we played some powerhouse teams back then, not these soft teams that they're playing today. And I don't got nothing good to say about the current coach either, but we'll cover that later. We're here to talk about autism, But hearing this challenge, this beautiful child that you have, and all of our brothers and sisters, our fellow Americans that have this it's a beautiful thing because the kids are so beautiful, man. I have 3 friends of mine that have autistic kids, and I love their kids. I like hanging out with them. I think they're funny. I think they're so sincere, and you don't get that too much.
No. Well, take me through when you guys all get together and talk about those days that did you know what you were doing in the moment was as big as it was? Because sometimes you don't understand it till you look back on it.
I would tell you this, Colin. You don't really know, but you know, you do know, when you got this bad, when you got a guy like Dan Marino and Bill Fralick and Jimbo Covert and Dave Pizzoli and the Bill Mosses of the world, Troy Benson was a stud. He's here golfing today. A bunch of my teammates are here golfing. We knew we were bad cats. We knew when we lined up. I knew as captain of the team, I knew we won the game sometimes before the game even started.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'd come out and I'd be like, and you could just see in their eyes that, you're going to win this game. So Pitt was that intimidating at the time. I mean, Florida State, when they were loaded, we beat them. West Virginia, but they had this, what the heck, Haas.
Hostetler.
Yeah, he transferred out of State College and went down there. We beat them down in West Virginia. We beat them. It was like a regular thing. That's when they were good. But now Pitt can't even beat them, and they stink. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and they listen. Getting back to Fazio.
Yes,
right?
yes. That's why we're here today.
Yeah, we are.
Yes.
So Foge, he was a salty. He made sure every game, Colin, every game. We kneeled to pray. Getting back to
Westinghouse and Butler.
Yeah. We kneeled to pray before every game, and boy, after the prayer, sometimes you'd hear guys say, we just got done saying the Lord's Prayer. There'd be guys saying, "Let's go kill him. Let's go him up. Let's go." That's how intense we were. So, but then after every game, win, lose, or draw, we kneeled back down and prayed. So. The whole thing that we need to do right now that I believe, I raised 8 children, same marriage, Colin. 8 children, wrestlers, football players, volleyball players, rowers, all kind of gymnastics,
right.
Gymnasts, divers, swimmers. It's awesome. I traveled the country, a bunch of Division I athletes. It was great. So, you keep doing what you're doing with your children. It's awesome. It's an awesome experience. But what I would tell you is we need to pray more. Getting back to Westinghouse and Fazio, it didn't matter win, lose, or draw. And besides the prayer, we had a mass. You remember that, Randy, right? We had a mass before every game. We had a priest or a minister from the Catholic, Orthodox, or Protestant sector come in and do a little church service for us all. And we getting back to the intensity, man. We brought it. We brought it. And I would tell you, when I got done with the game, Colin, it would take me 2 days that I even could walk. I used to come to practice because I had some pretty good backups. There's a doctor in town by the name of Shilkin. He's a doctor for the baseball team, for the Pirates. So he was a pretty good player, and he was a backup. Tony Siragusa, the Goose, was one of my backups too. So I knew they were always breathing down my back. So I would be in my dorm or at my house. I couldn't even move. I was like, how the heck am I going to make the practice today? Man, I would say a prayer, and I'd show up. I'd be walking in like nothing was wrong, because I knew how competitive it was. I mean, that's how many good athletes we had at the University of Pittsburgh, and that's how competitive it was. It wasn't just the games, Colin. Randy, the guys here would tell you, practice was a war. Randy's telling a story about Bill Fralick, the legendary Bill Fralick, who I loved, and Penn Hill's guy. Great cat, man. We really miss him. He would beat up half the team sometimes at practice. We'd be practicing, and it would be like the hockey game. I went to watch Mario Lemieux when I was in Pittsburgh at Pitt. Mm-hmm. Someone took me to a hockey game. I went to a hockey game, and the guys told me, we went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. You heard that saying, right?
Right.
Pitt football was like that. I went to a practice. I went to a fight and a practice broke out.
Right.
I mean, every day it was so competitive, Colin. We had one-on-ones with the best guys on the team. The coach would line me, Foge would line me up against Bill Fralick. Like, what am I going against this nut for? That's how competitive it was. But yeah, we knew
how great you were.
We knew what was going on.
Fantastic stuff. I got to get to a break. We're here. Myron, Cope-Foge, Fazio Memorial Golf Tournament. Dennis, fantastic stuff. You're like the hit. Everybody, I say, who do I talk to? Everybody says, talk to Dennis.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I do know about that.
You're too kind.
I appreciate it.
Listen, be in touch.
I will. All right.
You let me know.
Here we are back, 866-391-1020. Oh, my gosh. I can listen to old Pitt football stories like all day. Margot, we're going to have Rich Fitzgerald in a little bit.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Morgan.